Hello, in this video we're going to learn how to configure Copernico for events with laps. A lap is when participants pass through the same location more than once during an event, usually because the route of the race requires it. This case is quite common. In a triathlon, for example, participants pass through the box several times during transition points. Let's take a look at how to configure this in Copernico. First, you go to Race Setup, and once there, we go to our timing points. So this is a simple race, just a 10K, where there are 3 control points. We have the start, the intermediate, and the finish. But you'll notice that there's actually only 2 physical locations, the start and the finish, and then 1 lap. So when we configure minimum time, I'm gonna put here, for example, 14 minutes. And then for the finish, I'm gonna put a minimum of 28. But I need to put a minimum lap time of 14. The difference between the minimum time and the minimum lap time is quite easy. The minimum time is from the start. So the minimum time from the start to the intermediate, or the start to the finish. Whereas for a lap, it's just the minimum time for that 1 lap from the previous passing through the control point to the next one. And from the advanced menu, you can also see minimum time, maximum time, and here we actually have the time range by lap. Let's look at a more complex race setup when it comes to timing laps. A really good example is a triathlon. We're going to start with the triathlon half distance. We'll look at our timing points, and we can see that we have a couple of locations that are in the same place. We have the in and the in, and we have run 1 and run 1, which are both laps technically when it comes to timing. You can see that we have colors on the side that are indicating that we have repeated physical locations, and it helps us remember to put a minimum lap time. So here in this race, we already have the minimum times set up and also the minimum lap times. So from the in and the in, between the transition to and the run, we have 1 hour, and then we also have 45 seconds. Then down here, for the minimum lap time for running lap 2, we have 10 minutes. And if we go to participants and we check out the RAWs, you can see that each participant has only been assigned that physical location once, and that Copernico knows when to not take a duplicity of times. Then, if we go back to participants, and we want to say, look at the information, you have here again the confirmation about the splits for each participant. So we've looked at how with 2 control points we can time a race with laps. Now let's look at our last example, which is probably the most complex situation, and that is an Olympic distance triathlon. So in this example, the setup really isn't too different from the half distance, but now we have our lap timing mechanism being applied to the transition points. So the first transition, where we have the location is the same, and then also the second transition, where the location is the same. You'll see here that all of the minimum time has already been configured, as well as the minimum lap time. And while there are a lot of timing point information here that's important for timing purposes, it's not exactly the same as our splits, which is showing the necessary information that we need in order to time a race. So then if you go to participants, you can even look at your splits specifically that are going to be the most important. So we go to information, And here you see the splits that are relevant to each participant according to what they completed.